Bandeyam Shri Guru Shiyata Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabhadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivashikam Vitamscha Om Jnana Timaranda Shagana Jana Shalakya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namah Gorva Bhistam Supurakam Gurganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipunam Shri Rupa Patanagam Govinda Abhidam Ujwalam Bharatanum Bhaktiyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwa Gurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Premna Vibija Pradam Devam Divyatanum Suchanda Baranam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Baranam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Nyashishvara Shridharam Manchakopatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahamaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is Madhya-lila chapter 6, the liberation of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. I'll begin from verse number 212. Tabe Bhattacharya Prabhu Sustira Korila Stirahaya Bhattacharya Bahustuti Koila. After this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pacified the Bhattacharya, and when he was quieted, he offered many prayers to the Lord. Jagat Nishtarile Tumi Seho Alpakarya Ama Udarile Tumi Eshakti Ascharya. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, My dear Lord, you have delivered the entire world, but that is not a very great task. However, you have also delivered me, and that is certainly the work of very wonderful powers. Tarka Shastre Jadami Jaiche Lohapinda Amadravile Tumi Pratapa Prachanda. I had become dull-headed due to reading too many books on logic. Consequently, I had become like an iron bar. Nevertheless, you have melted me, and therefore your influence is very great. Stuti Shuni Mahaprabhu Nija Bhasa Aila Bhattacharya Acharya Dware Bhikha Koraila. After hearing the prayers offered by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to his residence, and the Bhattacharya, through Gopinath Acharya, induced the Lord to accept lunch there. Aradina Prabhu Gela Jagannath Darshane Darshana Korila Jagannatha Shayotane. Early the following morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Lord Jagannath in the temple, and he saw the Lord rise from his bed. Pujari Aniyamala Prasadana Dila Prasadana Mala Paya Prabhu Harsha Hoila. The priest then presented him with garlands and prasadam that had been offered to Lord Jagannath. This pleased Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very much. Say Prasadana Mala Anshale Bandiya Bhattacharya Gariyaila Twara Yukta Hoya. Carefully tying the prasadam and garland in a cloth, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hastened to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Arunodaya Kale Hoila Prabhura Agaman Sekale Bhattacharya Hoila Jagaran. He arrived at the Bhattacharya's house a little before sunrise, just when the Bhattacharya was arising from bed. Krishna's Svuta Kohe Bhattacharya Jagila Krishna Nama Shuni Prabhur Ananda Bharila. As Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya rose from bed, he distinctly chanted, Krishna, Krishna. Lord Chaitanya was very pleased to hear him chant the holy name of Krishna. Bahire Prabhurateho Paila Darshan aste bhyaste asi koila charana bandhan. The Bhattacharya noticed Mahaprabhu outside, and with great haste he went to him and offered prayers unto his lotus feet. Basite asanadiya duheta basila prasadana kule prabhu tara hatidila. The Bhattacharya offered an asan for the Lord to sit upon, and both of them sat there. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu opened the prasadam and placed it in the hands of the Bhattacharya. Prasadana paya Bhattacharya ananda hoila snana sandhya danta dwana jajapi na koila. At that time the Bhattacharya had not even washed his mouth, nor had he taken his bath or finished his morning duties. Nonetheless, he was very pleased to receive the prasadam of Lord Jagannath. Chaitanya prasade maner sab jadyagela ishloka pariyana bakana korila. By the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the dullness in the mind of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was eradicated. After reciting the following two verses, he ate the prasadam offered to him. Shushkam paryushitam bapi nitam ba duradeshata prapti matrena bhoktavyam natrakala vicharana. Nadesha niyamas tatra nakala niyamas tata praptam anam drutam shishtar bhoktavyam harir abravit. The Bhattacharya said, one should eat the Mahaprasadam of the Lord immediately upon receiving it, even though it is dried up, stale, or brought from a distant country. One should consider neither time nor place. The prasadam of Lord Krishna is to be eaten by gentlemen as soon as it is received. There should be no hesitation. There are no regulative principles concerning time and place. This is the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one should eat the Mahaprasadam of the Lord immediately upon receiving it, even though it is dried up, stale, or brought from a distant place. One should consider neither time nor place. The prasadam of the Lord is to be eaten by gentlemen as soon as it is received. There should be no hesitation. There are no regulative principles concerning time and place. This is the order of the Lord himself. Deki anandita hoila Mahaprabhurman, prema vishta hoya Prabhu koila alingan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased to see this. He became ecstatic in love of Godhead and embraced Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Duijane dore duhe narana nartan Prabhu Britya duha sparshe dohara fuleman. The Lord and the servant embraced each other and began to dance. Simply by touching each other, they became ecstatic. Sweda kampa ashu duhe anande basila prema bishta hoya Prabhu kohite lagila. As they danced and embraced, spiritual symptoms manifested in their bodies. They perspired, trembled, and shed tears, and the Lord began to speak in his ecstasy. Ajimui anayase jininu tribhuvan ajimui korinu vaikunta arohan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, today I have conquered the three worlds very easily. Today I have ascended to the spiritual world. Ajimora purna hoilas sarva abila sarvabhauma hoila mahaprasade bishvas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, I think that today all my desires have been fulfilled because I see that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has acquired faith in the Mahaprasadam of Lord Jagannath. Ajitumi nishkapate hoila Krishna Shrai Krishna aji nishkapate toma hoila sadai. Indeed, today you have undoubtedly taken shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, and Krishna, without reservation, has become very merciful toward you. Aji se kandila tomar dehari bandana aji tumi china koile mayara bandana. My dear Bhattacharya, today you have been released from material bondage in the bodily conception of life. You have cut to pieces the shackles of the illusory energy. Aji Krishna Prapti Jogyo Hoila Tomarman Beda Dharma Lange Koile Prasada Bakan. Today your mind has become fit to take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna because, surpassing the Vedic regulative principles, you have eaten the remnants of food offered to the Lord. Yesham Saisha Bhagavan Daya Yed Ananta Sarvat Manashrita Pado Yati Nirvyaligam Te Dustaram Atitaranti Chadevamayam Naisham Mamaham Iti Di Swashrigala Bhakye. When a person takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without reservation, the unlimited merciful Lord bestows his causeless mercy upon him. Thus he can pass over the insurmountable ocean of nescience. Those whose intelligence is fixed in the bodily conception, who think, I am this body, are fit food for dogs and jackals. The Supreme Lord never bestows his mercy upon such people. Eta kohe Mahaprabhu aila nijastane se hoite Bhattacharya khandila abhimane. After speaking to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to his residence. From that day on, the Bhattacharya was free because his false pride had been dismantled. Chaitanya Charana Bine Nahi Janayana Bhakti Bino Shastrera Ara Nakore Bhyakyana. From that day on, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya did not know anything but the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And from that day, he could explain the revealed scriptures only in accordance with the process of devotional service. So there has been that much change in Mahaprabhu changed Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya so much, and was no longer just interested in dry logic. He wasn't bound by any Brahminical rules. He took prasadam as soon as it had been given from the hands of Mahaprabhu himself, without doing anything like cleansing himself or offering prayers. He respected the prasadam. And from that day on, he could only explain the Shastra in terms of devotional service. No longer was he interested in any dull intellectual commentaries or the commentaries of impersonalism given by Shankaracharya. Now he had been completely changed. Chaitanya Charana Bine Nahi Janayan Bhakti Binu Shastera Arana Kore Bhyakyan. From that day on, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya did not know anything but the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And from that day he could explain the revealed scriptures only in accordance with the process of devotional service. Gopinathacharya Tara Vaishnavata Dekiya Hari Hari Bolinache Hate Talidiya. Seeing that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was firmly fixed in the cult of Vaishnavism, Gopinathacharya, his brother-in-law, began to dance, clap his hands, and chant, Hari, Hari. Aradin Bhattacharya Aila Darshane Jagannatha Deki Aila Prabhustane. The next day, the Bhattacharya went to visit the temple of Lord Jagannath. But before he reached the temple, he went to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Dandavat Kore Koila Bahu Bida Stuti Danya Kore Kohe Nija Purva Durmati. When he met Mahaprabhu, the Bhattacharya fell down flat to offer him respects. After offering various prayers to him, he spoke of his previous bad disposition with great humility. Bhaktis Sarana Shrestha Shunite Hoilaman Prabhu Upadesha Koila Nama Sankirtan. Then the Bhattacharya asked Mahaprabhu which item is most important in the execution of devotional service. The Lord replied that the most important item was the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nashti Eva, Nashti Eva, Nashti Eva Gatiranyata. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. A shlokarartha shunaila Korea Bistar, Shuni Bhattacharya Mani, Hoila Chamatkar, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very elaborately explained the Hare Nama verse of the Brihad Naradiya Purana, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was struck with wonder to hear his explanation. Gopinathacharya Bole Ami Purve Jay Kohila Shuna Bhattacharya Tomar Seta Hoila. Gopinathacharya reminded Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, my dear Bhattacharya, what I foretold to you has now taken place. Bhattacharya Kohetare Kore Namaskare Tomar Sambande Prabhu Kripa Koila More. Offering his obeisances to Gopinathacharya, the Bhattacharya said, because I am related to you and you are a devotee, by your mercy the Lord has shown mercy to me. Tumi Mahabhagavata Ami Tarkanande Prabhu Kripa Koila More Tomara Sambande. You are a first-class devotee, whereas I am in the darkness of logical arguments. Because of your relationship with the Lord has bestowed his benediction upon me. Vinoy Shuni Tushche Prabhu Koila Alingan Kohila Janak Koraha Ishwaradarshan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased with his humble statement. After embracing the Bhattacharya, he said, now go see Lord Jagannath in the temple. Jagannananda Damodar Dui Sange Loya Gariaila Bhattacharya Jagannatha Dekiya. After visiting the temple of Lord Jagannath, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya returned home with Jagannananda and Damodar. Uttama Prasad Bahuta Anila Nijabipra Hate Dui Jana Sange Dila. The Bhattacharya brought large quantities of excellent food remnants blessed by Lord Jagannath. All this prasadam was given to his own Brahmin servant along with Jagannananda and Damodar. Nijakrita Duishloka Likya Talapate Prabhuke Diha Bole Dila Jagannananda Hate. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then composed 2 verses on the leaf of a palm tree, giving the palm leaf to Jagannananda Prabhu. The Bhattacharya requested him to deliver it to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhu Stani Aila Duhe Prasada Patri Laya Mukunda Datta Patri Nila Tara Hate Paya. Jagannananda and Damodar then returned to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, bringing him both the prasadam and the palm leaf on which the verses were composed. But Mukunda Datta took the palm leaf from the hands of Jagannananda before he could deliver it to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Dui Shloka Bahir Bite Likya Rakila Tabe Jagannananda Patre Prabhuke Loyadila. Mukunda Datta then copied the 2 verses on the wall outside the room. After this, Jagannananda took the palm leaf from Mukunda Datta and delivered it to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Mukunda Datta took the verses on the palm leaves from the hands of Jagannananda and copied them on a wall outside the room before they could be presented to Mahaprabhu. Mukunda Datta then copied the 2 verses on the wall outside the room. After this, Jagannananda took the palm leaf from Mukunda Datta and delivered it to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhu shloka pade patra chindiya felila bitye deki bhaktasab shloka kanta koila. As soon as Mahaprabhu read the 2 verses, he immediately tore up the palm leaf. However, all the devotees read these verses on the outside wall, and they all kept them within their hearts. The verses read as follows. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Sikshartam Eka Purusha Purana Sri Krishna Chaitanya Charitamrita Kripambuderi Yastam Aham Prapadye. Let me take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who has descended in the form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to teach us real knowledge, his devotional service, and detachment from whatever does not foster Krishna consciousness. He has descended because he is an ocean of transcendental mercy. Let me surrender unto his lotus feet. Kalan nashtam bhakti yogam nijamya pradushkartum Krishna Chaitanya nama avirbhutas tasya pararavinde garam garam liyatam chitta. Let my consciousness, which is like a honeybee, take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has just now appeared as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to teach the ancient system of devotional service to himself. This system had almost been lost due to the influence of time. Edui shloka bhakta kante ratnahar Sarvabhauma kirti goshe daka vidvajyakar. These 2 verses composed by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who always declare his name and fame as loudly as a pounding drum, for they have become pearl necklaces around the necks of all devotees. This means not that the devotees physically wear the verses on their neck, as we sometimes see Sahajiyas have the verses written on wood that they wear around their necks. But these means the devotees have taken these verses very much to heart, and they are accepting Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's description of Mahaprabhu very much as essential and dear to them. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Sikshartakam Eka Purusha Purana Sri Krishna Chaitanya Charitamrita Kripambudir Yastam Aham Prapadye. Let me take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who has descended in the form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to teach us real knowledge, his devotional service, and detachment from whatever does not foster Krishna consciousness. He has descended because he is an ocean of mercy. Let me surrender unto his lotus feet. Kalan nashtam bhakti yogam nijamya pradush kartum Krishna Chaitanya nama avirbhutas tashapadarabinde gadam gadam liyatam chitta. Let my consciousness, which is like a honeybee, take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has just now appeared as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to teach the ancient system of devotional service to himself. This system had almost been lost due to the influence of time. Edui shloka bhakta kante ratnahar sarvabhauma kirti goshe daka badhyakar. These 2 verses, composed by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, will always declare his name and fame as loudly as a pounding drum, for they have become pearl necklaces around the necks of all devotees. Sarvabhauma Hoila Prabhur Bhakta Ekatan Mahaprabhur Sebabina Nahijanayan. Indeed, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya became an unalloyed devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He did not know anything but the service of the Lord. So later, when Mahaprabhu meets Prakashananda Saraswati in Benares, the leader of the Mayavadi sannyasis. Prakashananda says that Mahaprabhu has some kind of mystic power, whereas anybody who meets him thinks that he is the Supreme Lord. And I have heard, says Prakashananda Saraswati, that before Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a great Pandit, but now he's become like a madman due to this mystic influence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, meaning he has lost his mind. There's some truth in that, but Prakashananda Saraswati said it as criticism, but what he said had truth, that he had cast some spell upon Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, made him an unalloyed devotee. Indeed, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya became an unalloyed devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He did not know anything but the service of the Lord. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sachi Sutta Gunadam Edhyana Ejapa Loy Enam. The Bhattacharya always chanted the holy name of Shri Krishna Chaitanya, the Bhattacharya always chanted the holy name of Shri Krishna Chaitanya, son of Mother Sachi, and reservoir of all good qualities. Indeed, chanting the holy names became his meditation. Ek din Sarvabhauma Prabhu Agyaila Namaskara Kori Shloka Parite Lagila. One day Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya came before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and offering obeisances began to recite a verse. Bhagavatera Brahma Stavera Shloka Parila Shloka Seshe Dui Akar Pata Firaila. He began to quote one of Lord Brahma's prayers from Srimad Bhagavatam, but he changed 2 syllables at the end of the verse. Tattenu kampam susamikshamano punjana evatma kritam vipakam ridvag vapurbir vidada namaste jiveta yo bhakti pade sadaya bhak. The Bhattacharya recited, one who seeks your compassion and thus tolerates all kinds of adverse conditions due to the karma of his past deeds, who engages always in your devotional service with his mind, words, and body, and who always offers obeisances unto you, is certainly a bona fide candidate for becoming your unalloyed devotee. Tattenu kampam susamikshamano bunjane vatma kritam vipakam ridvag vapurbir vidada namaste jiveta yo bhakti pade sadaya bhak. So there's some change in this verse from the original in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhu kohe mukti pade iha pata hoy bhakti pade kene pad kitomara ashai. Mahaprabhu immediately pointed out, in that verse the word is mukti pade, but you have changed it to bhakti pade. What is your intention? Bhattacharya kohe bhakti sama nahi mukti fao bhagavad bhakti vimukera hoy danda keval. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya replied, the awakening of pure love of Godhead, which is the result of devotional service, far surpasses liberation from material bondage. For those adverse to devotional service, merging into the Brahman effulgence is a kind of punishment. Krishnara vigraha se satya nahi mane je ninda yudadika kore tarasane se duira danda hoy brahma sayuja mukti taramukti falanahe je kore bhakti. The Bhattacharya continued, the impersonalists who do not accept the transcendental form of Lord Shri Krishna and the demons who are always engaged in blaspheming and fighting with him are punished by being merged into the Brahman effulgence. But that does not happen to the person engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. So the destination of those killed by Krishna and the impersonalists is the same. They're merging into the existence of the Lord. but they're merging into the Brahman effulgence, I should say. Brahman effulgence is the effulgence emanating from the Lord. There are two kinds of impersonal liberation, but this kind of impersonal liberation is shared by the demons and the impersonalists. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who before was of this impersonalist persuasion, now hates even the mention of mukti. Jajapi se mukti hoy, pancha parakar, salokya, samipya, sarupya, sharsti, sayuja. There are 5 kinds of liberation. Salokya, samipya, sarupya, sharsti, and sayuja. Salokya means that after material liberation, one is promoted to the planet where the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides. Samipya means remaining an associate of the Lord. Sarupya means attaining a 4-handed form exactly like that of the Lord. Sharsti means attaining opulences like those of the Supreme Lord. And Sayuja means merging into the Brahman effulgence of the Lord. These are the 5 types of liberation. Salok yadi chari jadi hoy seva dwara tabu karachit bhakta kori angikara. If there is a chance to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a pure devotee sometimes accepts the Salokya, Sarupya, Samipya, or Sharsti forms of liberation, but never Sayuja. Sayuja shunite bhakter hoy grinabai naraka vanshai tabu sayuja naloy. A pure devotee does not like even to hear about Sayuja Mukti, which inspires him with fear and hatred. Indeed, the pure devotee would rather go to hell than merge into the effulgence of the Lord. Brahme Ishware Sayuja Duita Prakar, Brahma Sayuja Hoite Ishwara Sayuja Dikar. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya continued, there are 2 kinds of Sayuja Mukti, merging into the Brahman effulgence and merging into the personal body of the Lord. Merging into the Lord's body is even more abominable than merging into his effulgence. Because by this impersonalist, by this merging into the Lord's effulgence or into his personal form, the person loses his own individual identity. Without an individual identity, one cannot understand one's constitutional position as an eternal servant of the Lord, and one loses that opportunity to engage in devotional service. Salokya Sharsti Samipya Sarupya Katvam Apiyuta Diyamanam Na Grinanti Vinamat Sevanam Jana. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya concluded, even though he is offered all kinds of liberation, the pure devotee does not accept them. He is fully satisfied, engaging in the service of the Lord. Prabhu kohi muktipader ara artak hoy muktipade shabdi sakat ishwaraka hoy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, the word muktipade has another meaning. Muktipad directly refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya concluded, even though he is offered all kinds of liberation, the pure devotee does not accept him. He is fully satisfied engaging in the service of the Lord. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, replied, the word muktipade has another meaning. Muktipad directly refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Muktipade jarase muktipad hoy kimwa nabama padartha muktira samashray. All kinds of liberation exist under the feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is known as Muktipad. According to another meaning, Mukti is the 9th subject, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the shelter of liberation. Duiarte Krishna Kohe Kene Patafiri Sarvabhauma kohe o pata kohite na pari. Since I can understand Krishna according to these two meanings, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, what point is there in changing the verse? Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya replied, I was not able to give that reading to the verse. Chajapi tomara arta e shabde koi tatape aslishya doshe kahana najai. Although your explanation is correct, it should not be used because there is ambiguity in the word muktipada. Jajapi mukti shabder hoy panchabriti rude britye kohe tabu sayuje pratiti. The word mukti refers to 5 kinds of liberation, but its direct meaning usually conveys the idea of becoming one with the Lord. Mukti shabd kohite mane hoy grina trash, bhakti shabda kohite mane hoy ta ulas. The very sound of the word mukti immediately induces hate and fear, but when we say the word bhakti, we naturally feel transcendental bliss within the mind. Shunya hasana prabhu anandita mane bhattacharya koila prabhu drida alingane. Upon hearing this explanation, the Lord began to laugh and with great pleasure immediately embraced Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya very firmly. Jai Bhattacharya pade padai mayabade tara aiche bhakyas svure Chaitanya prasade. Indeed, that very person who had been accustomed to reading and teaching Mayavad philosophy was now even hating the word mukti. This was possible only by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lohake javat sparshi hema nahi kore tabat sparsha mani keho chinite na pare. As long as it does not turn iron into gold by its touch, no one can recognize an unknown stone to be a touchstone. But the Lord is like maybe not always appearing as such, but he is like that touchstone who could change the hard-hearted Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya into a golden devotee. So someone could say, what do you mean not always appearing as such? Well, sometimes Mahaprabhu is known as Chana Avatar. He's hidden incarnation. He rather presents himself as the Lord, but he had such a strong, he was able to change Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's mentality completely, from impersonalist to someone who could not even bear to hear the word mukti. Bhattacharya Vaishnavata Deki Sarvajan Prabhuke Janila Sakat Rajendra Nandan. Upon seeing transcendental Vaishnavism in Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, everyone could understand that Lord Chaitanya was none other than Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. Kashimisha Arijata Nilachala Basi Sharana Loila Sabe Prabhupada Asi. After this incident, all the inhabitants of Jagannath Puri, headed by Kashi Mishra, came to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Se sab kata age koriba varnan Sarvabhauma kore jaiche prabhura sevan. Later I shall describe how Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya always engaged in the service of the Lord. Jaiche paripati kore bhika nirbahan vishtariya age taha koriba varnan. I shall also describe in full detail how Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya perfectly rendered service to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by offering him alms. This means by offering him lunch, by offering him food. E Mahaprabhu Lila Sarvabhauma Milan Ihaje Shradakore Koraye Shravan Gyanakarma Pasha Hoite Hoy Vimochan Achire Miloye Tare Chaitanya Charan. If one hears with faith and love these pastimes concerning Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's meeting with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he very soon is freed from the net of speculation and fruitive activity and attains the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. Shri Rupa Raghunath Parijara As Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohe Krishnadas, praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy. I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya-lila, 6th chapter, describing the liberation of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohan Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Garadhara Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jai Rupa Sanatam Bhakta Raghunath Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jao Hoite Vignana Shabishta Puran Kasavar Pada Renu Mora Panchagras Kader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Janame More Abhilas H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakas Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Narothamudas Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jai Saparikar, Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Juki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajaka Charyashta Tara Tara Shishiman Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajaka Charya Ashta Tara Tara Shishiman Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishoredas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dash Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Premsigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vishvavarenya Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Madhacharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Ram Mayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Koladvip Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Soquel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan Shyam Kunda Radhakunda Kalindi Yamuna Ju Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Sripad Bhakti Bandava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Sripad Bhakti Bandana Puri Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj Ki Jai.
Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.